When you forget the roots, the tree begins to wither. In a time long before cities rose like glass mountains, and long before machines hummed louder than the winds, there was a kingdom, quiet and proud, at the very edge of the known world. It was a place where rivers whispered stories, trees kept memories in their bark, and every stone had a name. From this ancient land came a young knight named Kalen, a dreamer with fire in his eyes. He was not like the others. While most honored the past with bowed heads, Kalen looked to the stars and asked, "What lies beyond?" His heart beat not with the rhythm of tradition, but with the pulse of progress. But what happens when a soul runs too fast ahead, leaving behind the footprints of those who came before? And what is the cost of forgetting the voices that built the path we now walk? Before we dive into this unforgettable journey, make sure you hit the subscribe button and follow this story to the very end, because the lesson hidden in Kalen's path is one that just might change how you see the world. Now, let us begin. The kingdom of Elendor was carved between mountains and mist. It was old, not old in years, but in soul. Its people lived by the ways of their ancestors, farming the soil, carving wood, weaving tales by firelight. They passed down songs older than memory, and wisdom whispered from grandmothers to grandchildren. But the old ways were fading. The youth no longer sat beneath the elders' stories. The fields felt abandoned. Tools rusted in silence while voices debated new ways in taverns and temples. And among them stood Kalen, 23 winters old, tall and lean, eyes the color of rain on steel. He had studied every scroll, every tactic of war and wonder, but he scoffed at rituals. "Why bind ourselves to bones and shadows?" he would say. "Let us rise above." Some called him arrogant, others called him a visionary. Kalen called himself ready. Kalen lived with his aging uncle, a retired blacksmith named Bram, who once forged blades for the royal guard. Bram believed in iron and memory. Each morning, he would say, "Before you sharpen your sword, bow to the one who first taught men to hold it." Kalen would smile, but never bow. One evening, Kalen stood before his mirror-polished armor. His speech was prepared. Tomorrow, he would travel to the capital to present his great proposal, a new system of energy, trade, and education, free from the constraints of the past. It would change everything. But as he walked through the village one last time, something strange called to him. A breeze, a whisper, a pull. It led him beyond the houses and the worn footpaths to the old tree. They called it the heartwood, towering, twisted, covered in moss and runes. It had been standing since the first stories were carved in the wind. Some said the tree held the voices of the past. Others said the spirits slept beneath its roots. Kalen scoffed, but his steps slowed. He stood before it. His hand touched the bark, warm. And then, without thinking, he spoke. "Great tree, I seek to lead us forward. I want to shed the skin of our past and wear the future proudly. But if you hold wisdom, speak now." The wind grew colder. The leaves shivered, not from breeze, but from breath. And then, a voice. Not from the tree, but from the air itself. "You seek progress, but forget the soil you stand on. The past is not your prison, it is your foundation." Kalen frowned. Foundations can rot. The ground trembled, and from the shadows beneath the roots, they came. The air thickened like old smoke. From the earth rose a figure, clad in rusted armor, blood-stained, holding a shield that shimmered like moonlight over steel. The ghost's face was young and tired, eyes filled with both fury and sorrow. "I am a Darren, defender of the Second War. You walk free today because I bled yesterday. You speak of Terran down the walls we built with our dying breath. Kalen's voice was steady. I respect your sacrifice, but why must we cling to battles long ended? Adarin's eyes blazed. Because forgetting war breeds another. Because peace is not the absence of swords, but the memory of them. We forged silence from screams. You would erase that silence to build what? The shield flashed. Kalen fell backward, suddenly seeing visions. Children crying under firestorms, mothers digging graves in frozen ground, a young boy handing water to a dying knight. It was Kalen's great-grandfather. The vision faded. Kalen gasped. He was sweating, but he stood. I will not let fear hold me back. The ghost vanished into mist, but something in Kalen's heart cracked. The mist turned into pages. Scrolls floated around him like snow, and then emerged an old man with a staff made of ink and vine. His robes carried symbols of every trade: music, medicine, law. I am Orlin, keeper of wisdom. You speak of change, child. But what of memory? Kalen asked. Must we always repeat what came before? No, the elder whispered, but we must understand it. The wheel turns not by leaping, but by learning. The songs of your people, the festivals, the mourning rites, they bind hearts. Without them, you have motion, but no meaning. Scrolls unraveled, showing villages once divided, united by shared song, a law, born of ancient oaths, saving a wrongfully accused woman, a dying man, passing knowledge to a child who would save hundreds. Kalen wept softly. He remembered his mother humming lullabies, long gone. I never hated the old ways, he said. I only wanted more. Then let your more carry the whispers of what was, said Orlen. He bowed and vanished. Now the air smelled of earth. A humble woman stepped from the roots. Her dress was patched, her hands rough. She carried a basket of golden grain. I am Maella, tender of the land. You dream of towers and lights. But will your towers feed your people? Will your lights heal the hungry? Kalen replied, we can grow food faster with machines, with methods better than yours. Maella's face did not change. Faster does not mean better. Soil remembers hands that loved it. Seeds sprout best when kissed by those who know their names. Progress without heart becomes hunger. Then Kalen saw fields stripped by over-farming rivers poisoned in haste. People sickened by food made in haste, not care. He fell to his knees. I didn't know, he whispered. I only wanted to help. Then help by listening, she said. The earth swallowed her gently. Finally, the sky opened. A being of light and stars descended, neither man nor woman, robes that shimmered with galaxies. I am Selhara, keeper of the bridge between memory and dream. You are a dreamer, Kalen. That is your gift. But a dream without roots is a feather in the wind. Kalen stared at her. I was wrong to reject the past. But must I abandon the future? No, Selhara said. You must marry them. Let the past be your compass, and the future your journey. Only then will your kingdom thrive. She placed a glowing orb into Kalen's chest. Now, go. Walk your new path. Kalen awoke beneath the tree. The ghosts were gone. The dawn was breaking. His heart was different, not broken, but opened. He turned from the tree. It was time to return, but not as the boy who wanted to tear down walls. He would build bridges now. Kalen's boots touched the worn path that led into the village of Elendor. The dawn was cool, the sky the color of soft smoke, and the air carried the earthy scent of fields long unplowed. His armor, once shining, now bore the dust of journey and reflection. In his hand, he held no weapon, only a scroll, a document he had spent days drafting after his encounter beneath the heartwood. Villagers watched from doorways and narrow windows as he walked. They expected fire in his words, challenge in his stance. But instead, they saw something gentler, wiser. A young man aged not by time, but by insight. Kalen passed the baker's son, who once called him foolish. He nodded. He passed the schoolhouse where the elders taught tales of their ancestors, tales he once dismissed. Now, he paused to listen to the echoes of old chants drifting from within. When he reached the town square, he stepped onto the central platform. It had once been used to proclaim harvest days and the births of new children. Today, Kalen stood there with a different message. He unrolled the scroll. "I have seen the past," he said quietly, "not as dust to be swept away, but as roots that give us strength. I once thought progress meant escape. Now I know it means honor. And so, I propose a new path, one that binds our memories to our ambitions. Let us walk together." Kalen's scroll was no mere speech. It was a blueprint for transformation. Titled The Charter of Harmony, it offered a vision unlike anything Elendor had seen, a merging of old-world values and new-world innovations. At the heart of the charter were three guiding principles. Preserve the memory. All children would learn the oral traditions, crafts, and histories passed down for generations. Not to be bound by them, but to know them. Empower the dreamers. Young inventors and artists would receive resources to explore bold ideas, but only after learning the context from which their culture grew. Serve the land and the people. Agriculture, trade, and law would be reformed using both ancient knowledge and new techniques, with decisions made communally. The townspeople gathered in murmurs. Some scoffed, others listened. A few wept silently. Old Bram, Kalen's uncle, stepped forward from the edge of the crowd. His once burly shoulders now bent with age, but his hands were still strong. He laid them on Kalen's shoulders. "You've done what many feared impossible," Bram said. "You've grown without turning your back." A hush fell over the square. "Let him lead," Bram continued, "but let us walk beside him." And so, the first stone of a new foundation was laid. Kalen began his work not with speeches, but with actions. In the forge behind Bram's cottage, he created a space where old blacksmiths and young tinkerers worked side by side. The forge rang not only with hammer blows, but with the sound of stories. Bram recited the tale of a sword made for a farmer who saved a prince. A boy named Leo drew designs for a wind-powered forge bellows, using shapes inspired by ancient carving. A girl named Nara mixed minerals using traditional dyes to coat tools in a way that preserved them against rust. The past taught the hands, the future inspired the mind, and both flourished. Elsewhere, Kalen opened a modest library, not of printed books alone, but of scrolls, carvings, and recorded voices. Elders sat with scribes, recounting the legends of star-watching priests, the codes of village justice, the first words of prayer spoken at winter's end. Even the skeptical began to visit. Even the proud began to remember. Kalen knew that any kingdom without food was a dream built on sand. So he turned to the one ghost whose voice had echoed deepest in his heart. Maela, the humble farmer of the past. He journeyed to the hills where the old farmers gathered. Bent-backed and silver-haired, they greeted him with guarded silence. "I came not to replace your plow," Kalen said, "but to learn how to hold it." And so he spent weeks tilling soil with bare hands, feeling the rhythm of seasons that no chart could teach. From the elders, he learned how to taste the wind and read the worms in the earth. Then, carefully, he introduced new systems. Stone-lined irrigation channels that followed the curves of old ditches, seed-sharing stations designed like ancient offering tables, sunlight reflectors carved with the runes of blessing. The crops grew taller. The farmers smiled. A bond long broken began to mend. But not all were pleased. In the capital city of Velthar, news of Caelin's reforms stirred discomfort among the old guard. Lord Marcellus, head of the High Council, was a relic of an age where power meant preservation. He believed Caelin's vision to be dangerous, a soft rebellion disguised as renewal. Tradition must be untouched, Marcellus spat, or it is not tradition at all. He summoned an envoy, Sir Corwin, a sharp-tongued noble loyal to control, not truth. With orders in hand, Corwin rode for Elendor. When he arrived, Caelin met him with open arms. "You may walk among us," Caelin said. "Not to rule, but to see." Corwin sneered. "I am here to warn, not learn." Still, he stayed. He watched, and slowly, he began to doubt. It was in the 3rd month of harvest when calamity struck. The river, Elira, lifeblood of the region, sank into its banks and vanished. No rain came. Wells dried. The fields turned to dust. Panic gripped the village. Some cried, "We've angered the spirits by changing too much." Others cursed Caelin. "You led us to ruin." Caelin felt the weight of the ghosts again. He climbed the heartwood once more and knelt. "Help me," he whispered. "I tried to honor you. I tried to blend both worlds." And from the silence, he felt a single pulse, from the orb Selhara had given him months before. It glowed softly at his chest. Then he rose. Caelin summoned the village. Every trade, every hand, every heart. "We will not beg the sky. We will earn its rain," he directed. The elders to teach old methods of finding underground water. The youth to craft new tools to dig and draw. The scribes to chart historic rain patterns using their scrolls. The artisans to build channels like the ones sung of in old tales. For days, the village dug together. They sang as they worked, songs from both the past and present. The fusion of memory and innovation brought a new rhythm. Then, on the 8th night, water burst forth, clear, cold, alive. They had not waited for a miracle. They had become it. The miracle reached the capital. Lord Marcellus arrived, cloaked in velvet, riding a horse as pale as judgment. He walked through Elendor with suspicious eyes until he saw children painting murals of both kings and inventors, elders speaking beside young students, tools shaped like relics, but glowing with invention. He entered the council hall where Caelin stood. "You did not destroy tradition," Marcellus said. "You taught it how to breathe again." Caelin nodded. "The past is a song. It does not end. It becomes harmony." Marcellus bowed. A new alliance was born. In time, Elendor became a symbol across the kingdom. Festivals lit both oil lamps and glass globes. Priests sang from ancient scripts and new compositions. Builders used stone from old quarries to craft eco-villages with natural light. Children could name not only the king's lineage, but the farmers who fed them. Craftspeople taught both hand-stitching and solar weaving. The ghosts no longer haunted, they guided. Caelin never called himself a king, but all called him Caelin the Bridgekeeper, the one who remembered and the one who dared to dream. When Caelin grew old, he would sit beneath the heartwood. Children gathered at his feet. He never spoke of conquest, only connection. "Do not be ashamed of where you come from," he would say. "Do not be afraid of where you're going. Remember, building, and let your roots and wings grow together. Because we are always standing on the shoulders of those who came before. Their hopes lifted us, their failures taught us, their dreams set our path. And though our eyes seek new horizons, our feet must stay rooted in the earth that bore us." If this story stirred your heart, if you felt the weight of Kalen's journey and the echo of the ghosts within you, please subscribe, like, share, and comment your thoughts. What part of this journey spoke to you the most? And don't forget to explore our channel for more stories that blend myth, meaning, and reflection for all ages and all times. Thank you for walking this path with us.